For decades, Oak Island has been a mystery, with traditions claiming that Vikings visited it before Columbus and that it was the knight's hidden treasure. For more than 2 centuries, people have been excavating, drilling, and diving on Oak Island to discover what lies beneath. One of the largest mysteries is borehole 10X in the symbols that were used to formulate the cipher. However, new evidence suggests that the Romans may have also been there. Templar pirates and even the Romans buried gold deep underground. Over the years, pieces of equipment have been lost, rocks, dirt, and debris have collapsed into the shaft, making it difficult for anyone to descend. Macacair's Marks is a deep, dangerous, water-filled shaft that has been the focus of treasure hunters for decades. Dan Blanken's ship, one of Oak Island's most committed searchers, believes that this borehole could lead to whatever was buried deep underground. Borehole 10. X is not an easy dig. It begins with a 181-foot vertical drop through a reinforced steel and concrete shaft narrowed into a 44-ton long tunnel that is only 27 inches wide and submerged in murky water with no visibility. The crew on the surface would use an underwater communication system to keep in touch with Harvey Marash and Michael Gartz as they explored 10X. Michael would act as a safety diver while Harvey descended. How long has he been in now? 30 minutes? I'm thinking if this goes too long, then I'm going to start worrying. However, things started to fall apart when Michael's communication system failed, leaving them 100 feet underwater in total darkness with no voice or signal. The team on the surface had no idea if Michael was safe, and they attempted to call his name, but were unsuccessful. Amid the chaos and impending disaster at Borehole 10X, the team had no way of knowing if Michael was stuck or running out of air. They tried tapping on the pipe to send signals, but were unsuccessful. Because of the risky decompression stops, the squad was unable to shoot straight up, which made them anxious. Harvey made it quite far down when a light appeared beneath the water's surface, and everyone exhaled in relief. However, he was unable to see anything inside the small tunnel and had to feel his way around the walls to try to determine what was down there. Possibly ancient wooden structures, broken rocks as inspiration, or it may have even been purposefully positioned there to heighten the island's mystery. Over the years, Oak Island, a well-liked location for treasure hunters, has seen a number of disputes and discoveries. One of these was the discovery of a Roman sword that had a high zinc content, which was unusual for ancient Roman bronze. This led to the conclusion that it's really strange, but I like it, I love it, and it's pretty cool. The idea that Romans had lived on the island was significantly undermined when it was discovered that the sword was made of modern brass rather than ancient bronze. Nevertheless, not everyone was persuaded. Some pointed out that some ancient mines contain naturally occurring zinc, which could have contaminated Roman bronze naturally. Others countered that the presence of zinc didn't necessarily mean the sword was fake, and that more testing was necessary. Contrasting the sword with other comparable European swords. The discovery that very identical swords at museums in Italy and Spain had already been identified as copies created in the 1800s sparked additional discussions on whether the sword was an authentic piece or a contemporary fake. The sword's unusual discovery location and metal composition led some experts to conclude that it was a contemporary imitation, while others thought it still had the potential to be an authentic, ancient item. Since it is not the only Roman relic discovered in the area throughout the years, the discovery of the Roman sword has caused one of the largest disputes in the island's history. With several finds that imply the Romans never stepped foot close to North America, Oak Island has been taunting history buffs and treasure seekers. For instance, the tiny, pointed projectiles discovered there that resemble Roman-style crossbow bolts match the bolts employed by the Roman legions. Some contend that they arrived via trade routes much later in history, possibly during the era of European exploration. Another intriguing find is the well-known lead cross found at Smith's Cove, which is still up for debate. Some scholars think it is connected to the Knights Templar, a shadowy order that allegedly crossed the Atlantic to conceal their riches, while others think it may be even older, possibly dating back to the Roman era. Oak Island is a small island in North America that has seen a number of archaeological finds and discussions. When the lead composition of the cross was determined to have originated in southern France, which was once a part of Roman territory, it may indicate that an ancient expedition arrived at Oak Island centuries before anybody else. The etched 90T stone, which was found deep under the money pit and has symbols that no one has been able to decipher over the years, is another intriguing discovery. Researchers have attempted to decipher the code, and some people think the symbols seem like Roman or Phoenician Eros letters. Another major controversy began when a Roman coin was purportedly discovered close to Oak Island, but no one knew exactly where it came from. If genuine, it could indicate that Roman merchants somehow ended up in this area, but coins are difficult to transport, get lost, and are passed down for centuries. Some researchers believe that the strange stone roads and platforms discovered beneath Smith's Cove are not natural formations, but rather were purposefully built by someone. They may resemble ancient European engineering possibly connected to Roman aqueducts or roads. Although the mystery shipwreck near Man Bay has not yet been thoroughly investigated, sonar scans indicate that it may be very old. Some researchers think it may have been built as early as the 1400s, predating Columbus, while others think it may be much older and connected to medieval or ancient seafaring practices. Strange discoveries on Oak Island, like wooden platforms and underground tunnels, point to intentional building. Many of these items and structures predate documented colonial history, which makes it problematic for skeptics to claim that many of these discoveries might be explained by later European explorers or early settlers. The possibility that the Romans may have been here is still up for contention, but the sheer amount of unexplained artifacts and constructions suggests someone was here long before the official time frame permits. The oldest Templar commandery or location, I believe, is in Portugal. Wow, but something unusual happened on Oak Island a long time ago. Whether it was explorers searching for wealth or the history of an unidentified society leaving its mark. Make progress, and they saw an intriguing feature of their surroundings: the amount of dirt in the area. Lornian was set to join the group at a recently unearthed stone foundation on the island's western side. The group, led by Rick and Marty Lagena, is tasked with finding a treasure that is concealed on an island. Like the materials they had seen in the money pit area, they find a grayish substance that looks like concrete or rough mortar. They think that these stuff might be relics from the people who first concealed the riches, or it might be a component of the infrastructure that previous treasure searchers exploited. The group concentrates on the wetlands, a triangular region that has regularly yielded intriguing discoveries. They look inside a purposefully built stone walkway that was discovered in the southeast corner of the swamp. The stones seem to be deep underground, indicating that they were taken out during earlier money pit excavation operations. The group hypothesizes that the wetland may be a deliberately designed feature rather than a naturally occurring one. The garden shaft, an 18th century building, is thought to be near a possible treasure tunnel. The group performs the extremely taxing operation of excavating rock and clay layers in the deep clay. They discover further evidence, such as a shoe fragment discovered next to the stone walkway, that supports a theory of human activity in the area. It was probably hand-sewn in Europe and transported to the island based on the stitching. The group is restoring a swamp on Oak Island that they consider to be a crucial link between other areas of the island. They are examining the craftsmanship and state of the swamp, which points to the presence of people supervising the work rather than doing it themselves. Because of its condition and craftsmanship, the letter can be linked to a certain historical period that most likely involved Europeans. Good morning, Rick and Robert. How are you this morning? How are things going? It's good to see you, everyone. To what extent is the team looking at the alignment of the walkway, the placement of stones, and odd geological features that suggest deliberate human activity? In order to find a tunnel that is thought to be beneath the treasure, the team is continuing its excavation work by removing layers of earth from the garden shaft. They are now more focused on conserving history, respecting the island's heritage, and completing a centuries-long goal as a result of this discovery. Devoted researcher Chris Morford is there to share his most recent research, which reveals Nolan's Cross, which goes straight to the money pit said to contain the island's greatest mystery. The fact that the drilled stones themselves, which Frederick Blair found in the late 1800s, precisely match important locations on Nolan's Cross supports the notion that they were a component of a bigger scheme. Chris's passion and the breadth of his research captivate the team, and the placement of the stones and drilling markings appeared too intentional to overlook. If Chris is right, the Templars left behind their heritage, which is preserved in Oak Island's landscape, in addition to their wealth. In search of fresh proof or hints to the island's treasure, the team dug into a marsh on Oak Island. Buried deep within the swamp, They discovered a huge tree stump that suggested the area had once been wooded before being altered to its present state. There were indications that the stump had been chopped by instruments, maybe an axe, creating a floodgate. According to theories, the tree was felled to make room for the construction of a money pit or something similar. It was strange that there were no connected logs close by, because they were supposed to be a part of the plan to prevent the treasure from flooding. The following day, the team went back to the marsh and dug deeper into the triangle-shaped area in the hopes of discovering more signs of human activity. They found another stump with neat incisions that suggested it had been chopped with a tool, but the logs around it were gone. This supported the idea that the swamp had formerly been wooded and subsequently changed to its current state. The group then made a huge discovery when they dug 95 feet down and came across a 7-ton-wide tunnel that led to the Baby Blob, an area thought to contain hidden wealth. They discovered wooden fragments that seemed to be a component of the building, perhaps one of the wooden platforms that the money pit has historically been connected to. The building's age was suggested by the round timbers, which established a clear link to its builders. Knowing that they are now closer than ever to learning the truth about Oak Island, the team is resolved to keep going. The German Mining Museum. In addition to a vast database of metals and other mineral deposits from all over the ancient world, using his database of bodies and metals associated with European deposits where medieval mining took place, Charles is home to a pre-miner research archive in the field of mining archaeology. When Tobias Skronik, a geochemist at the German Mining Museum, compared the lead isotope data of the cross with the data he had gathered, he believes that the metal in question originated before the 15th century and possibly even before the 5th century. 4 years ago, Marty and Alex Lagina traveled to Rennes Chateau, a southern French village with strong ties to the Knights Templar that date back to the 13th century. There, they met with Toby Debler, a contemporary Grand Master of the Templars who believed that members of the Knights Templar had brought price-holy items to Rennes Chateau in the 14th century to protect them before shipping them to Scotland and then to Oak Island. There is a debate regarding the finding of a cross associated with the Templar-influenced area of France, and there is a chance that this will offer concrete scientific proof that the stories of a temple visit to Oak Island are true. This cross, which represents possibilities, may have been found in the 1300s or 1400s. If the search continues, it could turn out to be the most historically significant relic ever found in North America. Dr. Travis Taylor, an aerospace engineer, is asked to share his theory about what might have happened on Oak Island in accordance with Freemasonry's tenets. Hiram, the principal architect of King Solomon's Temple in ancient Jerusalem, used the hand of God, holding a chalice or Holy Grail as a symbol. In addition, Freemasons who are interested in studying the cross are Freemasons, and the drawing template that is provided to all Freemasons who join the third and highest degree of the order contains several well-known religious images, such as the Holy Grail and Jacob's ladder to the skies when viewed from above the star that seems to be the Pleiades. It's possible that archaeoastronomy is related to the island, and a star map that links the constellation Taurus to particular locations on Oak Island and 2 other nearby islands could serve as a starting point for additional research. What I believe is that the oldest Templar commandery or place in Portugal, maybe in Europe, Wow, which is a component of the constellation Taurus, is actually a star. Gary and the other members of their Oak Island team have been invited to explore the island and talk about the first potential spot for the cross's placement. Another subject they cover is the possibility of learning more about the location of the cross and its significance in North American history. Travis Taylor and his team are looking into a star map in the area, focusing on the lot lines and a large boulder near the lot line between 3 and 2. The enormous boulder has piqued their interest, and they are contemplating whether or not it is a patent that has been developed. After that, they will proceed to a stone triangle that is situated to the south of the money pit site. They are attempting to ascertain whether or not the leg of the bull can be accommodated on the island. At this point, Travis Taylor is utilizing his star map to guide Marty, Jack, and Gary to Lot 13, where they will discover an additional stone marker that has a flat surface. The group is struck by the enormous rocks that are located at each location, and they ponder whether or if the stones that they observed were markers that were formerly placed by people in order to connect with a star map. The answer is that they are able to do so. When it comes to the feedback exchange, the team is looking forward to it and is hoping to discover something interesting. They are looking forward to discovering something interesting, and they will proceed with their exploration.